Hi, it's Jane, and as you know, I did finish this, my sweater with the willow squares, and I love it. This is something that I see me wearing quite a few times. I chose not to have it enclosed. I probably, if I had done it a little differently, what I would have done is instead of on the sleeves doing 4 blocks, I probably would have just done 2 blocks, which would have made this about quarter length. And that is usually my preferred length for a sweater or cardigan. But this turned out really well, and I am glad that I actually did that. I did have to use some of the gentle white that I had from the Stitch Studio, and that was perfectly fine. And let me grab that. I used all 5 skeins of the cakes of that well, soft and sleek was something else, of the Big Twist Freelance. So I used all 5 of those skeins. I used probably about half of one of the gentle whites, maybe not quite half, maybe a third of, wasn't too much of it because I had a little bit of one left. Had to break open into the next full skein that was 14.1 ounces of that gentle white by Stitch Studio Classic. So yeah, I am thrilled that I did get that done, and it is finished. And of course, I got those 2 hats made. But that is it that was made out of that yarn there and out of the tote. And I have a battery about to die, so let me change that battery. Okay, and so the next item that I had is I had the 2 skeins, the one that is Cactus Bloom and then the Daisy. And I am mixing this, making the Mint Cocoa Chip Blanket, which the pattern is free at crochettdreams.com. So you can find it there. I'm going to try to remember to leave a link, but I can't guarantee that I will. So this is that blanket so far. And I do like the way that it's coming out. When I'd gone to a funeral on Friday, and I was working on it while we were waiting for the family to return back from the cemetery after burying their loved one for a dinner. And I had a lot of compliments on it. Everyone was like, "Oh, that is beautiful the way that it's coming out." Now they think it's all the same color scheme, but that's okay. But I do like the way that it is mixing. I'm not so sure that I'm going to do the border that they have on there. The border, let me kind of give you an idea what the border does. They have you with the border. You're basically going to work a single crochet border along the foundation rows, which isn't a problem. And then they want you on the second row of the border to do a single crochet in the back loop of the next and each stitch to the corner, 2 single crochets in the back loop of the corner stitch. And some of the way this reads is confusing because the next thing says 2 single crochet in the back loop of the next stitch. Okay, got no problem with that. So what you're saying is you want me to do the, back loop only in all the rows, and then, on the corners where you're going to do your increases in each one of those corner stitches. I don't know why you couldn't word it that way. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'm going to have to look and see how it looks. See if I like the way that it looks. So we'll see how that goes. Now, the next thing out of the tote that I am planning on working on is with these two skeins, and they're both sort of partials. This one's a little fuller than this one, and I haven't weighed it. This one is Karen 1 pound Azure, and this is Karen Jumbo in Seafoam. And I think I could probably mix those together. I do see a little bit of this color in the Seafoam, although it's very slight, but I think they complement each other. And if they don't, I can always use the rest of the Gentle White, you know, one or the other. But these are the two that I am planning on working with next out of that tote. And I do have a poll up on the community page for that. Do ask you to leave some comments. You do have the choice of, now I can't remember what I chose, a shawl, amigurumi, home decor, or other. And in the other, you do have to leave a comment on what you think the other should be. So, yeah, that is the plan for these two. And then I've already chosen what I'm going to do with the baby bee. That purple, I think it's Soft and Sleek DK. Someone had suggested using that as for the border around the baby blanket. And I hadn't thought about that, so maybe I'll look and see if they even work together. I do have that skein of the Ice Cream Scoop Pistachio. So, you know, you can leave comments down below for that if you want. And I think that is all that is in this one tote. Yeah, those are the only ones that are left in that, not that tote, in the bin for that tote. Do have more back here on the shelf that are from the tote. The basket bin that is on top is not from any of the totes. Those are some leftovers that I had from working with making the hats for the kindergartners where they colored their hats. So that bin is just left for whatever comes along in any tote. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the totes so far. And I do need to clean up those skeins a little bit because that kind of drives me nuts. I don't know if many of you know I am on, you know, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, the whole 9 yards. But with TikTok, I had ordered the wireless lavalier microphone and I had done a review of it. This is a microphone that plugs into your cell phone and then you can pin it to your lapel. I have found pinning it to my lapel, it really does not pick up the sound very well. You really have to hold the mic and talk into the mic. And maybe that's my voice, but yeah, I'm going to give it a try. I had specifically picked it up because I do a lot of, when I'm doing a lot of my cooking videos, many times I don't use my camera, which is a Canon mirrorless camera. Many times I will use my cell phone, so I was looking for a mic that would pick up the sound a little bit better. The previous mic that I had does not have a port to actually plug in to the cell phone. So, and even some of the adapters that I had that would fit do not pick up the mic sound at all. And I've gone into settings to try to allow that, and it just doesn't happen. So I was looking for some alternatives. So we'll still continue to try to give this a shot. You know, I had a few things that I was laughing about because, so many people are up in arms about the Doge and that kind of thing, and I just find it funny because here these young people that they're claiming aren't old enough to do this. They all have degrees from different universities in computer science. They have been working with the government previous to Doge, different departments to modernize the systems that the government uses, because if you don't understand, the government still uses a lot of things using COBOL. Now, a lot of people don't think that COBOL is still being taught, but there are a lot of universities in the U.S. that do teach it exclusively. Last I heard, there were 57 that are teaching it as part of their computer science. It is an elective, so you can choose it. It's not part of the degree program. However, they are still using sort of Fortran COBOL in what is called, I think it's ASI COBOL, something like that, because a lot of businesses still use COBOL. And one of the ones, our government has used COBOL for many years. So we have a lot of programmers that are getting ready to retire from the government. So if you have those people who can read, change the programming and all those kind of things to reflect what the government is doing, but they're no longer there, you're going to need somebody that can do it. So I do find that interesting. And they've had security clearances for a couple of years. I think the guy that's 19 has had one since he turned 18. I think he graduated when he was 17, about to turn 18, from the university that he was going to. So, yeah, they know what they're doing. And they don't have access to your private information. I mean, good Lord, what are they going to do with the $35 you've got in your bank account? You know, I don't know. But I do think some of the things that they're finding are remarkable. You know, things like $50K that they've spent on the animal kingdom, studying romance in the animal kingdom. That's NIH. Or $1 million on mountain lions on treadmills, NIH. $1.3 million to study coffee spills in space. Do you really need to spend that kind of money? Could you not just have the astronauts in space, you know, space station, spill their coffee, see what happens? I don't know. $600K studying the effects of gambling on aging dogs. Do aging dogs know how to gamble? $2.5 million promoting American diners in Europe. And that one failed. It was a tremendous failure. $2.2 million analyzing how selfies impact social behavior. Maybe you could have cut that to about $500K. Okay, just saying. $500,000 spent studying dinosaur tail movements. Haven't dinosaurs been extinct for at least a year or two? I don't know. Do I think that's wasteful spending? Yeah. They could probably create a model, computer model, to demonstrate how tail movements work. Less money. I don't know. Maybe. What do you think? But, yeah, some of the stuff is stupid. Some of the stuff is pretty far-reaching. You know, it's kind of things like with PEPFAR, which provides medications for AIDS to the clinics in Africa. Got no problem with that. But what they found is they were also, as part of the stipulation, is these women that came into these, they were found to be pregnant. They had to abort their child. And they also had to change their religious values in order to get the aid or to get the medications through these clinics. So DOJ has cleaned that up, changed that to where, yes, PEPFAR is still funding the AIDS medications to these clinics in Africa without those kind of stipulations on them. And I'm sorry, when you put stipulations like that on it, I think that's wrong, morally wrong. But that's me. So, and it's not just because of the abortion, because I'm one of those people. I do support abortions in certain cases, but they're very distinct cases. But I also don't think that we as Americans should be funding it. You know, medically, those that are medically deemed necessary, yeah, we should fund those through our insurance, Medicaid, Medicare. Although, I got a news flash. Medicaid doesn't pay for abortions just because you want to have an abortion. They don't, never have. So, how do I know that? Because my youngest, I was on Medicaid when I found out that I was pregnant. And I had considered abortion and was told they can't do it unless there's a medical necessity. And the doctors told me they will not make up a medical necessity for me unless something occurs during the pregnancy. Nothing occurred. So, yeah, happens. Although I know there are a lot of doctors that will falsify those records so they can perform abortions using Medicaid funds. But, you know, that's kind of fraud. But what do I know? So anyway, whether you like DOJ or not, you know, people voted for it. That's what most of those folks that voted Trump in were all about. Finding the fraud, the waste in our government, and dealing with it. You know, I just think it's important for us as taxpayers to know where our tax dollars are going, and it should be transparent. Now, am I looking forward to seeing where these Congress people have become millionaires while in office, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? Yeah. If they came by it honestly, got no problem with it, you know. But if they did it through insider trading, I got a problem. And I have always said this, probably since I was about 19 years old, that I think all Congress people who serve the public, whether state, local, or federal level, should have to have all their assets placed into a blind trust, the same way the president has to have his done when he is president. So yeah, I think that would be a good thing. However, I'm sure Congress will never, never make that rule. All right, are you ready for a little what in Tarnation? Got a few, and they're fun. Brazilian couple celebrates 84 years and 77 days of marriage. A Brazilian couple whose wedding was in 1940 officially took the Guinness World Record for the longest marriage for a living couple. Manuel Angelim Dino, 105, and Maria de Sousa Dino, 101, were awarded the title when Guinness World Records and Longevous Quest, a website that tracks data about centurions and super centurions, verified they had been married for 84 years and 77 days as of Valentine's Day. The duo met in 1936 and were married in the chapel of Boa Ventura in Ceará, Brazil in 1940. The Couple raised 13 children and now have 55 grandchildren, 54 grandchildren, and 12 great-great-grandchildren. The longest marriage ever lasted for 88 years and 349 days was David Jacob Hiller and Sarah Davy Hiller. Were married in 1809 in Canada. I don't know if you've seen that video of the kayaker who ended up in the mouth of a humpback whale. But you know, a couple of years ago we had the story about a fellow that was swallowed by the whale, was in there, 3 minutes, and then spit out, regurgitated, that kind of thing. But this one, there's video. Kayaker ends up in the mouth of a humpback whale. 24-year-old kayaker in Chile was briefly swallowed and subsequently regurgitated by a humpback whale in an unusual encounter his father caught on camera. Adrian Simakis Jaimes, a computer technician originally from Venezuela, was kayaking with his father in Punta Arenas, Chile, when he felt an impact on his back that knocked him out of his inflatable kayak. His father, Maydell, captured video as his son briefly vanished into the mouth of a humpback whale. Jaime said he wasn't sure what was happening until the whale spitting back out into the water. At first, I thought it had swallowed me whole, although I didn't really know what it was, and then, when I got back to the surface, I realized it was a whale, Jaime told El País. I also knew that there wasn't that much danger unless it started jumping or knocked my dad off his boat, because then it would be very difficult for us to get back to shore. Jaime, who was not injured, was able to reunite with his dad and return to shore. He said the incident reminded him of a classic story. When I was inside it, I remembered Pinocchio, who was swallowed by one, he said. Humpback whales can grow up to 48 tons, but they normally pose no danger to humans. They have narrow throats, which prevent them from completely swallowing humans and similar-sized animals. California kayakers Julie McSorley and Liz Contrill had a similar experience in 2020 when they ended up briefly inside the mouth of a breaching humpback whale. Their extra-close encounter was also caught on camera from inside the mouth of the Leviathan. Now, I haven't seen that one. Maybe I'll go search and find that one to actually add it underneath this link to this video. Now I'm curious. Now, you gotta love centurions who have goals and buckets lists and they actually fulfill them. 104-year-old woman celebrates birthday by going to jail. A New York woman celebrated her 104th birthday by crossing an item off her bucket list, visiting the local jail. The Livingston County Sheriff's Office said the woman named Loretta told staff at Avon Nursing Home that she wanted to celebrate her 104th birthday with a visit to the Livingston County Jail. The Sheriff's Office agreed to the request and Loretta was treated to a tour of the lockup facility. Before her tour, we celebrated with some coffee and cake, and she told the sheriff that the secret to living a long life is to mind your business. The Post said Loretta had a great time touring our jail facility. We're so glad that we were able to make her birthday wishes come true. Thank you for all the laughs today and for being a good sport. Have you seen the video of the 14-year-old human computer? It's amazing. 14-year-old human calculator breaks 6 world records in one day. A 14-year-old human calculator from India put his mental math to the test and broke 6 Guinness World Records in a single day. And I'm going to butcher his name, and I apologize. Aryan Shukla, 14 of Maharashtra, set his first Guinness World Record about a year ago when he took on the record for the fastest time to mentally add 50 five-digit numbers on the set of Italian TV series Lo Shodai Record. Shukla, who accomplished the feat in the time of only 25.19 seconds, was invited to Dubai by Guinness World Records and now has 6 more titles to his name in a single day. He broke the records for the fastest time to mentally add 100 four-digit numbers, 30.9 seconds. Fastest time to mentally add 200 four-digit numbers, 1 minute, 9.68 seconds. Fastest time to mentally add 55-digit numbers, 18.71 seconds. Running. Sorry. Scratching the wall. Fastest time to mentally divide a 20-digit number by a 10-digit number, 5 minutes, 42 seconds. Fastest time to mentally multiply 2 5-digit numbers, 51.69 seconds. And fastest time to mentally multiply 2 8-digit numbers, 2 minutes, 35.41 seconds. He was nicknamed the Human Calculator by Guinness World Records, and he practices math for 5 to 6 hours a day to keep his mind sharp for competitions. Shukla's father said his family doesn't know where the boy's skills come from. We are a normal family. Ariane is 1 in a billion kind of person, but I don't think that we are a family of mental calculators. I don't know about you, but good Lord, it takes me an hour and a half to balance my checking account. Doesn't take that long, but you know what I mean. It takes me, I don't know, at least a minute to figure out the calculations to deduct a check, from whatever amount I've got running, and for it to match the bank's. Now this one is a cute story. Let me pause you because we're about to run out of time again. This is Mississippi police seek escaped emu for felony fleeing and disorderly conduct. Police in Mississippi are asking residents to be on the lookout for an unusual suspect wanted for felony fleeing and disorderly conduct. An emu. The Batesville Police Department said the escaped emu was last seen on Highway 6 near the Co-op and Hyundai dealership in Batesville. Police shared a wanted poster for Emu the Great, saying the Australia native bird is wanted for felony fleeing and disorderly conduct. Please use all caution if you come in contact with this suspect, the poster reads, is known to charge at anyone standing in the way of its freedom. The department cautioned anyone who spots the emu not to honk their car horns. She is scared and the owners have got a team helping them to get her back home safe. If you spot her, please notify us. We'll get in touch with the owners. But the poster is what makes it. And there's a link for you to see the poster. All these zoos that have their animals painting. These 2 animals, I did not know that they had painting. Zoo holding auction. For paintings made by penguins, giraffes. A New York zoo offered a sneak peek of some of the artwork that's available at its upcoming gala auction. Creations by animals including penguins, giraffes, sloths, capybaras, and others. The Animal Adventure Park and Preserve in Harpersville announced the Dream Big Gala, Night Out on the Town, for March 15th. Will feature a silent auction for the works of art created by several of the species that call the zoo home. Isn't this the zoo that also had April, the giraffe who gave the birth to Deji? Is that his name? think that's his name. Zookeepers said they used various methods to encourage the animals to paint as a fun enrichment activity. With our penguins as well, the easiest way for me to get them to paint is with food. They are very food motivated, and if some days they don't feel like using food, they will chase around a cat laser. I did not know the penguins like cat lasers. That's interesting. They offered a lot of those, sharing photos of the animals, including the penguins, capybaras, sloths, and giraffes painting. Our artists are hard at work putting the finishing touches on their masterpiece for the animal art auction. Animal art aficionados who won't be in attendance at the gala will have the opportunity to place bids online. And there's a link to the story. Large white streak in Las Vegas sky identified as SpaceX rocket. Residents of Las Vegas and surrounding areas spotted a large white streak in the evening sky that prompted speculation online, but turned out to be a SpaceX rocket. The white streak was seen in the sky just after 6 p.m. Monday over Nevada and Arizona, prompting witnesses to speculate about possibilities including UFO activity. Streak was determined to have been a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket that launched at 6 p.m. from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, about 400 miles west of Las Vegas. The rocket was carrying 23 Starlink satellites into orbit. Now this next story is rather interesting, and I can understand the concern. But wow. Company offers $45 per fish bounty on 27,000 escaped salmon. A seafood company that lost about 27,000 salmon from a fish farm off the coast of Norway is offering a bounty of about $45 per fugitive fish caught. Maui, the world's largest producer of farmed salmon, said about a quarter of its 105,000 salmon escaped Sunday night from a fish farm in Troms and entered the waters of northwest Norway. The company said the fencing separated the farm from open waters was damaged by stormy weather in the sea. The company called on registered fishing professionals in the country to bring any of the fugitive salmon caught to designated reception centers where they will be paid about $45 per fish. The Norwegian director of fisheries said companies are normally only allowed to conduct recapture operations within 1,640 feet of their facilities, but Maui was ordered to expand the range of its search for the missing salmon due to the massive scale of the escape. Experts said the escaped fish could pose a major risk to wild salmon in the area. They said the escaped salmon compete for the same spawning grounds and could spread infections such as sea lice. Experts also said studies have found interbreeding between wild and captive salmon leads to offspring with a much lower survival rate. Now, I'm sure most of you that eat salmon get yours from a salmon farm. And I do know that my sister is a big fan of one salmon that is produced by this farm because it does not have the same fishiest, smellish taste that our American salmon companies have. And it comes to her frozen, which she purchases it frozen, and it comes from a salmon farm. So, I do find that interesting. And I'm curious, how many fishermen that are out in that ocean, that sea, would be catching one of these, and how would they know the difference? That's what I'm curious about. All right. We are ready for the devotional. And the devotional comes out of With God, I Always Have Hope. That book. Got it at Ollie's. And I am going to have to put my reading glasses on. There's a reason I have to put my reading glasses on. It's because I had a blood vessel at the back of my eye burst. And so my left eye is a little wonky as far as seeing. I have all this extra crap in the back of my eye that I'm seeing. Hope for eternal life. For our dying bodies must be transformed into bodies that will never die. Our mortal bodies must be transformed into immortal bodies. 1 Corinthians 15:53. Imagine the disciples' shock, terror, and disbelief when Jesus first appeared to them after his resurrection, as if he had walked through the wall. Next, imagine the stunned silence of the disciples en route to Emmaus, when he revealed himself at the table and then disappeared after blessing the meal. See Luke 24:13-35. Finally, feel the bewilderment his disciples must have felt when they handled him, a risen yet physical body, still bearing the marks of the Roman spearhead in his side and the railroad spiked-sized nail wounds in his wrists and ankles that were still open. See Luke 24:36-43. The post-resurrection Jesus was supernatural, to say the least. We too will trade in our aging bodies for a physical covering that will be impervious to the effects of mortality. When we are clothed with immortality, secure in our eternal right standing with God, our hope in Christ will be fulfilled. Not only will we trade our broken bodies for immortal ones, but when we see him, we shall be like him. See 1 John 3:2. The hope is difficult to comprehend through our earthly lens. One day, though, our faith will become sight, and we will fall at Jesus' feet in awe of his glory, power, and goodness. Reflect. What do I think my transformed body will look like? Pray. Father in heaven, may I focus on things above and not on earthly things, as I live in the light of eternity. Open the eyes of my heart to see the coming reality of my resurrection, of being clothed with a heavenly physical form that will allow me to be even more like Jesus. Declare, I will have a new body that will never die. Act. Listen to the Holy Spirit and do one thing today that has eternal value. And I know a lot of you are Christians, but many of us as Christians do not spread the gospel, and that is one of the great commissions that we have. So, and I always recommend for folks who have no idea about the Bible and are interested about what this is about, that they would pray, regardless of whether they believe in God or not, but they would pray that he would reveal himself through their reading, and that they would read not only Mark of the Gospel, but John of the Gospel. And through those two chapters, you learn a lot about Christ and about what has happened and some of the things that will happen to us and what his mission here on earth was about. It's about reuniting us with God. So, we're all sinners. So my hope for you is that you would repent of your sin and you would follow Christ. Because I really want to see all of y'all when I get to heaven. All right, guys, that is it for today. And as always, remember to act on this as well as do something kind today. See you again soon. Bye.